Hello, everybody. It is your boy Sherpa. Welcome back, or for the newcomers, welcome in. I appreciate every single one of you being here. This is vlog number 2 on the crazy adventure I decided to embark on. I appreciate every single one of you being here. I got a lot of positive feedback, and it means the world to me. I still have a lot of improvement, a lot of editing stuff I need to keep improving on, but I'm excited for each and every one of you to be here and be on this adventure with me and see the progress I make as I see it myself as a video editor and as a poker player. This is not just for me to try to improve myself and try to have everybody critique me. This is hopefully other people can watch and learn along as well. Without further ado, let's get back to Horseshoe Indianapolis and get back on the felt. Here we go. We are going to start vlog number 2 off with a very fun one. We got the nice Jack 10 of diamonds under the gun, so we open it up to $12. Guy to our left wants to play along, Buttons wants to play along. Small blind says, I'll call, big blind gets out of the way. So we are 4 ways to a flop here. We got $50 in the middle, and we are going to see a flop that we really like. We see the 7 of clubs, the 8 of clubs, and the 9 of spades. We have the absolute nuts. So we're going to continue putting some money in here. We put $15 out there. Retrospect, we probably could have made it a little bit more, but instead the guy to our left wants to make it more for us. He makes the raise of $45. Thank you. We are putting him on right now, maybe a club draw, maybe a pair and a straight draw, maybe a set. I'm not really sure. Either way, we have the best hand. So we very much welcome a raise here, and not only a raise, but we see a raise and a call from our button as well. He's counting out some chips. He's putting his money in the middle. He wants to play too. Small blind gets out of the way awfully quickly. We're going to want to make this a little bit more to play because we have the absolute nuts. It's a pretty draw heavy board. There's a lot of turns and whatnot we don't want to see, but right now we're not scared. We have the best hand. So we're not going to just call here. We're going to want to make a raise, and we make our raise to $150. If you want to see the board pair another club, you're going to have to pay a little bit more to do so. Our guy to our left is thinking about it here. He's wanting to see exactly how much is being put in there. It's another $105. And even now, after the raise, he's thinking that's not enough. He doesn't take too much time whatsoever, and he puts his chips on top of each other, and he's going to shove it all the way in there. He has about 216, 215 or so, which is another 110 to us. We're welcoming it. Once again, we have the absolute best hand possible. There's absolutely no way we're folding, and we're loving. Our button decides to shove too. We snap call, we show the goods, and we are hoping for a very clean run out, and we see the queen of diamonds and ace of spades. We have the nuts. Neither player shows their hands. I'm guessing it's probably a set, probably a flush draw. Either way, I'm taking down about an $800 pot to start off this second vlog. We're on to our next one here, and we look down at Cowboys on the button. We have a limper, and our cutoff decided to make it 15. We don't think that's enough. We put in a raise to $45. Just a little 3x raise here because we got position on the button, and we decided we want to put money in there. Our small blind thought about it for a second, but our blinds got out of the way. Our limper decided he didn't want to do it anymore. 45 was too much for him. Our cutoff doesn't think too terribly long about it and flicks in the call. We're going to go heads up to this pot here. About $100 in the middle, and we see a flop of the 10 of spades, 5 of spades, and 7 of hearts. No ace on board. We're still liking our kings. Our cutoff decides to check it on over to us, and we don't want to get rid of them too quickly, so we don't want to put in a bet that's too heavy. We decide on a number of $40. If he has ace king or ace queen or 2 over cards, it's tempting enough to try to put money in there, maybe hits one of his cards. So we don't want to scare away our customer, but instead he does something we don't necessarily love seeing. He puts in the check raise. He's now deciding to make it 140. So it's $100 more to me. And what could he possibly have? There's 2 spades on board. He could be doing this with ace X of spades. I look down at my cards again. I don't have the king of spades. So there's a lot of king combination of spades as well that he could have. He could have top set. He could have a set. But kings are a little too strong for me to fold here. So I'm going to put in the call, reevaluate on the river. And he only has a little over 200 left. So now our pot's about 300. He's got less size pot. So let's see what's happening here. We see a turn of the 6 of diamonds. No immediate draws come in except for 8 and 9, even a 3-4. But in a 3-bet pot, it's hard to put him on an 8-9. He might even have 8-9 of spades. Could be trouble for me. Any set still puts me in a lot of trouble. But again, there's also combinations of queens and jacks and ace king, ace queen of spades, even ace jack of spades. And he decides to rip it. With all those combinations of flush draws and my king of spades not being the spades, I decided to make the call pretty quickly, and he shows jacks. Boom, nailed it. We see a clean river of the queen of hearts, and we take down an $830 pot. He said he wanted to be in the vlog. Welcome to it, sir. GG. About an orbit later, we look down at kings again on the button. Okay, we'll take it. Couple limpers in, and we may decide to make it $20 to go. Our blinds get out of there. Our limpers want to stare me down, see if I look strong. They don't want to play for more than $3. They're just a couple of limpers. Always punish the limpers, especially within position. But once our second limper comes along, our third limper decides, I'll see a flop for 20. So we see a flop of the 6, 7, and 8 of spades. And we have 2 red kings. Pretty gross. We see this guy make a lot of calls to see a lot of flops, so we want to put a feeler bet out there at $15. Hindsight, we can easily just check behind here and see what happens on the turn, because this is a much better flop for him. And we see the 9 of hearts. We are now 4 to a straight, 3 to a flush, and instead of checking over to the aggressor, our hijack decides he's going to lead out for $30. Ugh. What could I possibly be ahead of right here? And even if I am behind, there's really no catching up. So yes, I have cowboys. Yes, this doesn't happen very often, and it's an overpair. But it's not that hard of a decision. It just stinks to have to fold this. But in the end of the day, kind of just have to let this one go. Live to fight another one. He told me later he had a straight with the spade as well. Alright. On to our next interesting hand here in the big blind. We look at pocket sixes. We got one limper in middle position, and it goes to our small blind who decides to make it 30. We're playing a little 1-3-30 here, I guess, and with pocket sixes, it's probably just a fold, but now I have position on the original razor, and I have a pocket pair. If we hit our set, sweet. So I end up making the call. Our limper decides to put in the 30 as well, so we're going 3 ways to a flop here, and we see the 5 of clubs, 4 of clubs, 2 of hearts. Pretty decent flop, and our small blind doesn't even think about it and puts in $100. This, as I was about to say, it's a pretty good flop for our pair of sixes, as we have an overpair and a gut shot, but this guy is betting into 2 players at the pot size bet. Is it possibly as ace king? I have an overpair, kind of want to reevaluate, so I end up making the call. Our third player gets out of the way. We see a turn of the 7 of hearts, and this guy just rips it. The 7 of hearts actually semi-improves our hand, because now we're open-ended with instead of a gut shot. We had an overpair to the flop. Now I'm going deep in the tank here, and this is where I want to see a lot of comments of what could I have done differently, what does a lot of the math say, because I'm pretty new to a lot of the exact math formations of this all. So I'm starting to think here, okay, what if he has ace king? Alright, if he has ace king of clubs here, or even ace king of hearts, I'm obviously ahead, but how many outs does that give him? He can hit either ace or king, so that's 6 outs right there for just a single pair. He could hit his flush draw, so that's another 8 outs, because both my sixes are of the suits on the board. So he has a total of 14 outs if he has ace king of those suits.
So he's sitting at about, I believe that makes it around 30%, which for a pot size bet on the turn jam, that's just so much strength the entire way this hand. It's hard for me to put him on ace king just like that as a pretty much a bluff at this point. He's a younger player, hasn't been sitting at the table long. I just don't think he'd play ace king this way. So now, if he has an overpair, jacks plus, I'm obviously behind, but how many outs do I really have? I have any 8, any 3, any 6, so I have 10 outs, assuming it's not suited cards for a flush. So that's 10 possible outs for me, which is about, I believe, a 25% ish chance, and a $300 bet from a guy who's shown so much strength for that much percent. I don't love it, but you can tell I'm in the tank here. I want to find a call so badly. I love stacking people on hands like this when they just shove and overplay their stronger hands, but at the end of the day, it's just monetarily, in my mind, not worth it. Again, I want to hear what other people have to say, percentage wise, money wise. I'm curious to what I could have done better this hand. I do end up just making the fold here, unfortunately, because I mean, I'm open ended with a pair. I love those types of hands, especially on a board like this. Again, I think about it for another few seconds, but at the end of the day, I just decide it's not really worth it. I'm just going to go ahead and make the fold here and try to wait for a better spot for him to overplay some type of hand, and I have more than just a draw and a bluff catcher. So ultimately, I sigh. I don't like it, but I throw my cards in, and because he's a trooper and wanted to be a part of the vlog, he says, I'll show you for the vlog. I say, don't have to, but I appreciate it. So I throw my cards in. I'm getting a look at this board, and he shows kings. A little overplayed, but he got the money out of me, and it worked. Good hand. This next one is a doozy, so strap in. We look down at pocket threes, which we absolutely love because we hit our set, we get paid the majority of the time. Now, this hand gets awfully confusing. We were going 5 ways to a flop, $6 pre. The under the gun player who made it this $6 thought he was straddling, but the dealer made a ruling that it was too late when he put the $6 out there, so it didn't count as a straddle. Instead, it counted just as a raise, and he was not happy about it. Regardless, we're 5 ways. We have pocket threes, and we see a flop of the 9 of hearts, 3 of hearts, and jack of clubs. We hit our set. Boom, baby. The blinds check on over to the under the gun player, who is still complaining to the dealer, trying to plead his case that he should have had an option instead of just going straight to the flop. He clearly wanted to raise pre. This player has been in every single flop. He's been putting money in there with some wild hands and a lot of them that we haven't even seen. But I saw him betting with some crazy stuff that were pretty weak. So a lot of people were wanting to play hands with him. He's still complaining, saying he should have had the option, that, oh, it shouldn't be this many people because he wanted to raise and get people out of there, whatever. He makes his bet of $25. We have bottom set, and this is where we make a mistake. We end up just calling with 5 people in the going to the flop, a pretty draw heavy board. I want to isolate this player because he's putting a lot of money in there with weaker hands, but instead we just call, and our big blind is able to make the call as well. So now we're going to a turn with 105 in the pot, and we see the 8 of spades. Checks on over to our under the gun player, who is still complaining, making just accusations and whatnot, whatever. He's going to put more money in there of $30. At this point, I don't read him as really strong at all. I want him to keep betting into me, and I want to take his money later. I make the call. Again, draw heavy board. I really shouldn't just be calling. If I think I have the best hand, especially multi-way, I should be raising because our big blind pair decides to raise now. Gross. Our under the gun player is now on him. Once again, still very frustrated he wasn't allowed to raise pre. I wish he would just move on because it's slowing down the action a lot and making me more frustrated and harder to think. But at the same time, I should be able to move past it and do what I need to do. Regardless, he's going to end up folding here, and now I'm going against the big blind alone. And this is a buddy of ours, and she's a very aggressive player and is able to do this with draws and combo draws, and me with bottom set. It's hard for me to get away here, and even though I only have about 200 left, I don't love it. She made it the raise to 125. Our under the gun's still tanking over there, complaining. We muted the audio on purpose because we just don't want to put that type of negativity out there. He ends up making the fold. His money goes in the middle, dead now. I don't think too long because even if I am against a made hand, I have bottom set, board pairs. I'm feeling good. We're going to the river here, heads up. Our buddy Mariah, we see a river of the 6 of diamonds. Board does not pair. She says, all right, Brandon, let's do it, and just puts me all in. I hate this. I definitely misplayed this on almost every single street. Should have definitely raised on the flop to try to isolate the under the gun player, potentially get out some straight draws and flush draws, some weaker ones. Mariah loves her draws, so at the same time, even if I did raise, I might have even just lost more. Now I'm in the tank. I start chatting back and forth with her. She asks me, what do you have? I'll tell you what you should do. I told her I had top 2 pair, which obviously is a lie, but at the same time, it's basically the same hand. She says no good. Again, she's a really good player and knows how to lie and talk herself out of these situations, but at the same time, I feel like she wouldn't have even asked in the first place if she wasn't have a very strong hand. Again, sets don't come around very often. You have your pocket threes, and that's if you hit your set, that's what you want to get it in with. Our under the gun's still complaining, which is kind of throwing me off a little bit, but at the same time, I'm dialed in. I'm hearing like, what bluffs does she have? She has a 10 of hearts with a flush draw, maybe like. But at the end of the day, like her check raise on the turn, barrel on the river, it just seemed all too strong to me. Plus, her talking just seemed very confident and relaxed. Like I just don't love my set right now. So with all that being added together, I don't like folding sets, but even though there's a huge pot in there, I only have about a third size of the pot. I do find a fold. Don't love it. Mariah, being the trooper that she is, told me later that she did have Queen 10 for the nut straight, and I saved myself another $100 or so and just fold. We're on to our next fun hand with pocket queens in middle position. We're at a different session, different day, whole new mindset. We have pocket queens. We get 1 caller, we get 2 callers, we get a fold. The button wants to play with us. They're going to put in $15. Our small blind doesn't think too terribly long. Also puts in the $15, but our big blind folds. So we're going 5 ways to a flop with pocket queens in middle position. Yay! Oh well, we have a strong hand. Let's put all this money in the middle. We got a pot of about $80. And we see a flop of 10 of spades, queen of clubs, 7 of spades. We have top set. We have the nuts right now. We get a check. We make it $20 because we're multi-way. There's a couple straight draws potential, so we're going to keep putting money in there, make them pay for it. We get 1 caller, and then we get the button to call as well. Now we're going 3 ways instead of 5 ways. Okay, more doable. Both of these players don't have a whole lot of money left, so with top set, there's really not a lot of times we're going to fold here, and I prefer to be the aggressor, so when I see the 9 of hearts, even though it completes a couple of straight draws with the jack 8 and the king jack, I make it 45 because I prefer to stay aggressive with top set. Our player to our left doesn't even think about it. She rips it. For about $100, our button doesn't want to play it. We snap. We have top set. We weren't ever going to fold. If you have straight, you have a straight. She doesn't. She shows her jack 10 for a pair and a straight draw. Our set's holding up. We just don't want to see anything trouble. We fill up. Kind of irrelevant. We just didn't want to see her hit her 8 or a king. And we take down a nice $330 pot. Here we go. Back on track.
Yeah, 10-9.
We're on to our next interesting hand where admittedly we make a couple of mistakes here. We have queen 10 of hearts and we decide to open $12 from middle position. We get basically the whole table to fold. Big blind looks down and seems interested, and they flick in the $12 here. We are going heads up to a flop, $25 in the pot, and we see a flop of the king of hearts, 7 of clubs, ace of clubs. Better range for him. There's 2 over cards. We only have a gut shot, so we check back here, and we hit the gin card. We hit the jack of hearts. We have a Broadway. We have a flush draw. We have a royal draw. We have a straight flush draw. He makes a 10. Normally, yes, we should be raising here. This room has a promo, and we kind of want to hit the royal for a $2,000 win. We don't. We hit the 3 of spades. Again, this is another mistake here. We probably should be raising a little bit higher, but I make it $40 instead because I want the call and I don't want to be super greedy and I just want to get paid here. But promos aside, he makes the call. Curious how you guys think I could be playing this differently, how I could be getting paid more. Either way, small win, moving on. Our next hand here, we get folds around to us on the button. We got connectors, so we're going to go ahead and play it. Our big blind here has been playing a lot of pots, and she tends to play it off with just weak pairs and whatnot, so I like to get in as many hands as I can, especially in position, so we make it $10 on the button. We see a flop of 7 clubs, 6 of spades, 2 of clubs. We're open-ended. We want to put a little more money in there in case we get our straight. We put the $10 in. She doesn't think too hard or too long. She snaps the call in. We see a turn of the jack of diamonds here, and she checks it over to us. We only have 5 high, and like I said before, she tends to call pretty light. So with 5 high, we don't want to blow the pot to where we're going to have to potentially bluff the river. So we just check it behind. We see the 3 of clubs. We complete our straight, but it also does bring in a club draw. She bets $20 into us. Again, she's been betting a lot with 1 pair, maybe 2 pair type hands, and been paying off with those types of hands as well. So we're not too terribly scared of the clubs. So we make the raise to $60 here after she makes it 20. She's going in the tank a little bit, which tells me she doesn't have the clubs. So I'm actually wanting to call at this point. I do kind of show a lot of strength here with 3x, but again, she's been calling semi-light with top pair a lot, and so I was hoping to get as much value as I possibly could. Well, we tried here. I thought she said call or she threw something in and it confused me for a second. That's why you kind of see me pick up my cards and show almost, but I guess she ended up folding, so face down. You don't get to see. Throw my tip in, we get the W. And we're on to the next one. We are on to the final hand of our vlog here, and we look down at aces, the rockets, the best hand we could possibly have. We're in middle position, it folds to us, obviously we're going to raise, we make it $15. It's on over our small blind who makes the call pretty quickly, and our big blind gets out of there, so we are going heads up to this flop with $33 in the middle, and we see a flop of the 8 of clubs, 3 of spades, and jack of diamonds. Now our small blind decides to go ahead and lead into us for $30 here. Normally it'd be a bit scary, but I've seen this player do this a lot with just really top pairs, so I'm not too scared, but at the same time, could be a set, could be 2 pair, some sort, not really any type of draws out there, so we just make the call. He decides to check it on over to us on the turn when we see the 6 of diamonds. Again, no draws got there. We still have an over pair to the board. We make it $45, about half pot. Small blind wants to make sure exactly how much it is, double checks with the dealer, and then doesn't think too much about it and puts in the $45 for the call. We are now going to the river with $180 in there, and we see the 5 of spades. Some weird straight draws get there, but at the same time I'm not really putting him on a straight because he led to us on the flop and called on the turn. Maybe a 2 pair, maybe a set, but at the same time, if he's going to donk lead into us on the flop, if he's much stronger, he would be donk leading into us every street. So we make it 105 on the river. He snap calls. We show the aces. He shows ace jack offsuit for top pair, top kicker, and we're going to win a nice pot here to end our second vlog. Appreciate y'all. Sherpa out.
Well, that's going to wrap up vlog number 2 for me. Please hit that like and subscribe button. It helps out a ton for me, and it only takes a second to do it. If you have a comment of how I could have played a hand differently, or if you think I did a good job, or you think I played poorly, leave that down below. I am absolutely open for criticism as long as it is constructive. Don't be mean and attack my personal character or even attack people in the comments. That's not what we're trying to do here. We're trying to grow everybody here as a poker player, not just myself, but everybody that watches along with us. I am going to go to Vegas this upcoming weekend, so I might not get a video out for another 2 weeks. I'm going to be playing some poker there, but that's not my main intent. We'll try to get another video out as soon as possible. I am so happy every single one of you are here to follow along with this adventure with me and see my growth as a player and as a vlogger. And hopefully we could all learn a little something as we go together. For now, appreciate every single one of you. Sherpa out.